Hello. Hello, my friends. It's Lolo. How are you? I am doing something a little different today. Usually, I take clips of right wing streamers and other people, pundits, and either make little movies out of them, make fun or mock them, or try to use them as educational tools or thought provoking. And today I thought I'd do something a little different and record over a particular clip that struck me. And the reason that this clip struck me is for me, it captures a lot of the um, disinformation that is rampant as introduced by the right wing disinformation industrial complex, if you will. And it's really become cemented in people's heads. And the reason that I'm so obsessed with messaging and how that communicates down to ground level is that that is very much part of how we as a country are not coming together or not able to even come together on issues that we normally might like really might just resonate with us as individuals. And I very much blame the right wing media machine for getting us to this point, as well as tapping into they're tapping into the inherent bigotry and self-loathing and other complex emotions that incels like this guy are feeling. So I thought it was a good sample of what's happening out there in the real world, and I thought I would use it slightly differently than I normally do to not make another video, but to actually talk about this video with you. So let's go ahead and play it, start it off, and then I'll stop him as we find parts that seem interesting or worthy of comment.
Appreciate you guys with the super chats.
I love the
Appreciate
super
you guys
chats.
loads. It may get interesting. Exactly. We'll found it may get interesting. It all depends on how much force we see immediately, because we need the rapid.
Okay. I want to just stop him right there. What he's talking about is the National Guard and the fact that the Ninth Circuit of Appeals has lifted the stay on the implementation of the National Guard while the actual appeal of their deployment is being heard. So he's going to get it wrong. But this, again, is one of those pieces of disinformation that I think really impacts us when court cases and other things are paraphrased by right-wing media, but they're not paraphrased correctly, so that then these folks can go ahead and continue to spew that out to, gosh, I don't know how many viewers he has, but they've been in the thousands for all of these restreamers, even not just the streamers on the ground. So first important piece of disinformation.
Rapid, quick response.
It's a little bit too confrontational. Maybe so, maybe not.
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
You know, my Christian conservative ethics.
The-
whatever.
Yeah, ZFG. Yeah, crowd control.
Crowd control. What crowd?
They need to get the ones
Where?
funding these protests. Yeah, Vandy, and that's where the whole investigation into Soros and all these different benefactors is going to take place. Cutting off the foreign funding is going to be big once they get designated fully a foreign terrorist organization.
Okay. There's a lot. There's a lot that just happened. A lot. All right. Now, Open Society Institute, Open Society Foundation, is based in the United States, and it's founded. It's the foundation or one of the main foundations founded by George Soros, since he's invoked all the time. And I actually applied for a job with that foundation once, and I didn't get it. And I also found, well, actually, that's not true. I actually turned down the opportunity to advance because I had a conversation with them about the salary levels. And at that time, I couldn't afford to take the salary because it was lower than what I was making and somewhat lower than market average. So what's interesting to me is that the lack of information that incels have about how foundations work, who George Soros is, what Open Society actually does, There are plenty of complaints about foundations. Believe me, I've got a ton. I spent 22 years plus grant seeking, running fundraising for nonprofits, all kinds of stuff. So, if anyone in my world understands how foundations work and how they're funded and all that good stuff and what the disclosures are and what the requirements are and all the reporting and all the this and the that, it's me. So, he's wrong. First of all, he's also mixing up the whole making Antifa a terrorist organization, which is also ridiculous because and dangerous because what the administration is talking about isn't just talking about Antifa. They're using that as red meat for these types of folks. What they're actually talking about is going after foundations and nonprofit groups that exist in communities that do things like Meals on Wheels, that do things like voter education, that are nonpartisan, that follow extraordinarily strict guidelines about what activities they can perform, especially with either government grants or large society or large foundation grants like Open Society, like the Ford Foundation, like Kresge, like all kinds of foundations that have very, very elaborate grant making structures. And along with those elaborate grant making structures are also elaborate grant reporting structures. So again, everything that you do, every activity, every dollar you pay is not only classified in the beginning of your grant seeking, where you say this is exactly how much I'm going to spend on each part of my my operating budget or my program budget, but then also after the fact, those programs are evaluated for good use of the dollars. And if you mismanage those dollars, you will get caught. So for me, the foundation nonprofit relationship is one of the most transparent and, in fact, overly bureaucratic processes as a grant seeker myself. So this whole find the foreign terrorists is ridiculous, and it is a simplification or a gross misjudgment about who is actually involved. Now, we can have plenty of complaints about billionaires and Bill Gates and all the rest of them. I have no problem having that conversation. Even Zuckerberg with the Chan Zuckerberg Institute. But I also happen to know people who work at that foundation and the Gates Foundation. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's no shenanigans. Like they literally are one of those are two of the most well-run foundations in terms of transparency, thoroughness, and evaluation. If anything, I wish they would give out more money and make it easier to get money from them, but they don't. And that's the way it is and has been and probably will be. So this administration's war on nonprofits is what we should be calling it, not ending foreign funding terrorist organizations. So again, that entire premise is incorrect, just factually incorrect. And I really wish that that was more widely supported and reported by our journalists, because these types of lies have escaped and they have grown and become very much carved in the stone of MAGA thought. So let's see what else MDG Gammon has on his mind.
Right now, them being a domestic terrorist, HIMARS, yeah, right now, HIMARS against Hamas. They are like, we can do so much to them, right? Once they're labeled them like international,
we can do so much to them. What does he think? Again, we're not talking about international crime syndicates. We're just not. So I'm going to say now that the people on the right who carry these misconceptions, you need to drop them. You need to get informed. You need to educate yourself.
terrorists, we can legit Navy SEAL fucking hit people who are donating millions and billions. Like, we can start detaining people, sending them to Gitmo, and doing very high profile targeted
What?
things.
Okay. This guy has weird fantasies, and I think his hard drive should get checked. But otherwise, he's talking about taking people like George Soros, Bill Gates, whoever, and executing them or torturing them at Gitmo because they give money to foundations or they fund their foundations. And then those foundations in turn give money to nonprofits. Now, what's interesting about that is that, are you going to arrest all the people that work in foundations? Because there's a lot of people, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to become super rich working in a foundation unless you're like a really high up, like program head or something. So you're talking about regular people who work regular jobs, and it's hard work. And you're talking about arresting them for doing their job. That doesn't make any sense. And I know this is the bill of goods that's been sold, but we have got to break this trance that these idiots are in. Sorry.
Of varying degrees. So I'm really
Live in a Tom Clancy novel.
Yes, Moist, it is true that the Guard is going to be deployed. The Ninth Circuit Court has approved that Trump can deploy the troops. They can show up as quick as tonight.
Okay, again, going back. The Ninth Circuit lifted the stay that allowed the troops to be on the ground in Portland, while the appeal of them actually being fully deployed in Portland is being settled. And it's a very big difference. So, yeah, MDG, come on.
They can show up at any moment, really.
These guys can't wait.
We can do enhanced interrogation. We can we can
enhanced interrogation.
We can do a lot. We can do a lot to them here as, domestic terrorists, but once they become international terrorists, like the people who are flying to foreign countries for training, because there's a lot of weird mercenaries. Hey, what's up,
Who is flying to a foreign country? And which foreign country? Can we get a ticket to that foreign country? Because the only mercenary that I know that's really flying around the world getting trained or training people is Eric Prince. And last I checked, he's one of yours. Well, I mean, he wouldn't claim you, MDG. Let me tell you right now. He would not. You wouldn't be on his team. However, that's the only mercenary I know about who's training people.
God. They'll be got.
Yes, have another smoke.
So we possibly have some pretty big stuff happening tonight.
He's so excited. He's so excited. It's really the bloodlust. It's the bloodlust that gets me the most. So I know that was short and it's messy because I'm not good at this, but my point is this. I don't know how we get through this disinformation part. And I know that disinformation has been part of the mix, but I also will die on the hill that disinformation became one of the main weapons against democracy starting around 2015, 2014. Sure, before then. I'm not discounting any of the fuckery that has happened before. But I think that's what's really important to remember is that disinformation has now become unfettered, just completely soaked in to the minds of people like MDG Gaiman and all the what I call chuds, people who are completely MAGA, mostly bigoted. Don't think they are, but again, when you're bigoted, it is hard to see that in yourself It is usually something that people can observe, and that's why people will use names like racist or bigot or transphobe or other things. It's because that's the behavior that is being displayed. And perhaps rather than say, "Oh, you're just a dumb lefty," perhaps the moment is, "Wow, am I the drama? Am I the drama?" So I'm going to try and do more of these, maybe better organized, but I just thought there's a lot I want to say about where we are, and I'm just one voice, obviously, in a sea of many voices, and many other voices have been woefully underheard, and not heard or not listened to, and I hope those voices get an opportunity to talk about what this country is doing to them, because this is beyond normal, beyond horrific. And I only see us getting deeper and deeper into it with people like Russ Vogt, with people like Peter Thiel and Palantir, with people like Palmer Luckey and Anduril, who makes the drones, who's also Matt Gaetz' brother-in-law, with people like David Sachs, who's actually an advisor to the White House and kind of the crypto king, if you will, with people like Jared Kushner, who's basically carving up Gaza. These are real things that are really hurting and killing people right now. And I don't know what we do to stop it, but I have to believe that if we, with singular voice, speak down the lies, that is a start. So thank you for indulging my few minutes here. And I hope you have a wonderful time and a wonderful day, whatever day you're watching this. And I hope to see you on the next Wake and Bake. Thanks.